picture this. I just won the rarest car in Forza Horizon history. Why do I feel so numb? To the masses, Forza Horizon is the best racing game you can get your hands on. So why did it always kind of make me feel a little numb? With the recent Forza Horizon games like Forza Horizon 5, Forza Horizon 4, Forza Horizon 3, you get the idea. Basically, Forza Horizon has been peeling back the structure of progression for the sake of basically giving everyone access to everything. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that's an overall negative thing. I think it makes sense to have some games actually give you the ability to basically get access to everything in the game. It's not a crazy idea. You get to choose what you want. I can understand where the logic comes from it. As long as this change has been happening, there's also been a debate as to whether, is this really a good thing for a series? Is this really a good thing for a game with 900 cars by the end of it? Especially with Forza Horizon 6 on the way, and it's really screaming about the idea that progression is back. That's what we were told. A big focus of this game is to, for some reason, extend your playtime. We'll also talk about why I think they're making that move here. This has been a request from the community for a really long time, and, well, we'll see exactly how it turns out. But all of this is to say, I think Forza Horizon 6, to some extent at the very least, is actually going to fix the deepest problem the series has had. Let's get into it. I do need to preface this and say that I am officially fully diagnosed with ADHD. And I'm going to link this in because, quite honestly, it really... On the internet, there's obviously a little bit of varied thought on the topic. And also my driving ability. The general consensus with ADHD is that it's someone with low attention span, someone that's like always on their phone, doom scrolling, oh, TikTok, in the brain, always staring at the tree, always wanted flashing images, crazy editing. Oh my god, there's everything all over this. That is actually far from my personal experience with it, and not to say it's the case for everyone. I'm going to come back to my very Forza version of this. Now, Forza's not the only game to adopt this model, but quite honestly, this is a thing that many games do. I play Forza. This is just kind of my example of such. Now, of course, the idea here is that you're supposed to feel rewarded and supposed to be excited. I have 200 wheel spins right now. You've seen when I play the game, doing the progression of the game, I tend to not bother with the wheel spins or try and avoid them, actively avoid them, because I want to tailor the experience to me. If the idea of Forza is that you yourself are able to jump into the game, partake in any activity that you wish to do, no matter what it is, there's no correct order. The intent is to make it accessible and you can do what you want and tailored to you. Your game experience may be different to someone else's. But see, the problem with myself is that my ADHD tells me that I need a reason/purpose to care. My experience with a lack of direction or lack of purpose, basically unlocking every route for me to go to at all times, actually has the opposite effect and actually kind of burns me out a little bit. If you know any ADHD people, you'll notice that when they're really invested in a topic, a subject, a thing, they're gonna be stuck with that thing and that topic, that subject for a very long time. Whereas most people around them are like, yeah, can you move on from that now? It's been a little bit. You'll notice they are incredibly passionate. They are incredibly just locked in. They have their own, like, version of the rules around the subject and the topic that dictate as to what they can and can't do, whether that be, I don't know, someone that's very invested into the subject of SUVs bad, for example. Or maybe someone that's doing their best to make their day-to-day choices based on the fact of, you know, someone maybe committing some kind of war crimes as being a bad thing, obviously. But bringing that to games, I need to be in a world with characters and story and a path that I actually can care about. The end is obviously the objective, but I really need something to guide me, a reason to actually care. again, Need for Speed Heat is a fantastic example of this. An incredible world you're pulled into with some really dark characters, for example, that you need to take down. You yourself are not being like, oh, I'm a hero. No, no, no. You're still doing something illegal. But the fact is, those police are in power. They're more corrupt. I need to take them down. Oh, but I'm starting in a lower end car. Great. That means I can work up towards getting the higher end car. If I begin the game, do a wheel spin and get a Bugatti, for me, that makes it go, okay, well, that purpose is now completely set aside. I don't need to work towards anything else. And again, Gran Turismo has the very same thing. It has the wheel spin thing, it's daily objective. To me, that kind of burnt me out incredibly quickly. Spinning a wheel based on how many times, how many minutes you drive in the... It's a very difficult balance between, of course, Gran Turismo is trying to reward you for playtime so that you play the game more. But to me, that makes me go, I really just... That just tires me out. I don't, like... No. And I do want to say, you don't need to fit every single one of those in the game. I'm not saying you need a story and progression and a world that I actually want to explore. You don't need everything. I'm not looking for the perfect game. That is why even GTA, my favorite series, Need for Speed, another series that I really like, Drive Club, a game that I really love, all of which games I point out that there are flaws in those titles, because there are. There's no such thing as a perfect game, but I think at least one of those pulling paths, one of those reasons to play is so important. And I think it's why, for me and a lot of people, you may actually have experienced this yourself, GTA Online is not something you play actively anymore, whether you love GTA or not, except when an update comes out to check out the new stuff. Because my overall objective of grinding out the game has dissipated, considering that, well, my garage has got millions of cars by this point. I've got a new bloody mansion, for example. There's no longer a reason for me to continue grinding out the game like I did in the early days. So I actually kind of miss that. So let me link Forza Horizon 6 into this, because this is kind of leaning on Forza Horizon 6. So in this game, you'll notice that when you do events, you unlock more events. And usually it gives you kind of a one of each situation where you can kind of do an off-road race. You could do a street race. You could do whatever, quite frankly, you want. You could do the activities. What I really need is, again, a thought path of, this is either the most efficient event for me to do, gives me the most reward, so I'll do that, or just kind of tell me what I'm doing. The idea in Forza Horizon 6, obviously, is that Legend Island exists. So the wristbands are back, and there is now a purpose to get to. There is a reason to get there. I'm very curious as to what the end result is going to be once you get to Legend Island, but the intent is the progression is back. Now, I've kind of talked about why progression is probably back in Forza. We saw it in Forza Motorsport. That was a step too far. Forza Motorsport added the progression for one reason and one reason only. That is to increase playtime, which is a good thing, because of Game Pass. Without Game Pass, we would not have this happening in Forza Horizon. Without Game Pass, we wouldn't have the festival playlist, whether you like it or not. You know, it's done some good things for the Forza series here in terms of adding more content and more reasons to keep playing. And of course, in Forza Horizon 6, we're talking about now, finally adding progression back in a way that hopefully is aligned more with Forza Horizon 1, maybe a little bit of Forza Horizon 2. Now, I haven't played the preview of the game. I'm leaning very heavily on the hope that they really are delivering on a promise here. I don't expect it to be a grind fest. I don't expect it to even be kind of in line with Need for Speed or GTA Online early days, because those are, you know, those established franchises that keep that style. Forza's doing this for the first time again, but they've also got to be very careful, because unlike Forza Motorsport, they're trying not to piss everyone off. Because if they piss everyone off, people are going to leave and not come back, and then Forza Motorsport got shut down. Again, I don't think it's ever going to be to that level. Forza Motorsport failed in a lot of ways in that it was a very bare bones game. Forza Horizon 6 is a Forza Horizon game through and through. I feel we do need to we come back to this a lot, but the festival playlist is such a significant part, because you might be questioning, okay, Theo, if you really do like progression and you like a grind, why are you so against the festival playlist? Now, you see, this is where game design conflicts with just reason and logic. So the reason they added those new events to the game, the Horizon Rush events, was because people were not replaying the Forza Horizon Showcase events. the big events, the big grand events where you're racing a train or you're racing a big robot. Those events are not really replayable features, but again, they're probably quite expensive to make, considering the fact that they have to create a new thing to race against, a new movable object, a new scripted event, because the events are, you know, they play out in a way to make you feel, but they're only a one-time experience. When they get to this stage of a game, they kind of start thinking about, okay, we need to find basically what's the cheapest to make, which is just normal events. How can we get people to replay them? That brings the festival playlist. Because I don't know if you remember from playing the festival playlist, week to week, for many weeks in a row sometimes, you would play the exact same event in a different car. And it's a way to make, well, it tick a box that people are replaying the event that we made. Therefore, this event is worth more than this event. That's the intent with the festival playlist. And as a player, you really feel that. And therefore, I absolutely did the bare minimum. Most weeks I didn't bother unless there was a vehicle I genuinely cared about. As you can see, there's just weeks of nothing. And then some of many. Earlier on, burned out a little bit. Yeah, and this kind of links into another important point, because I've complained about both Forza Horizon and Need for Speed for this exact same conflict. Basically, the passes they add to the game, the seasons they add to the game, make the cars more difficult to get than they were previously in the game. So normally in the game, you get everything very quickly, or you can buy it, you got access to it, you just buy it and upgrade it, and you can do that. The same in Need for Speed. If you buy a car, you can customize it visually, performance. You have basically zero restriction on the car other than like the performance, you know, based on you've got to upgrade your garage. Again, but the fact is the base game is one way, and then the festival playlist and the car passes that they added to Need for Speed, completely different. You had to grind your way doing the events that, you know, you didn't want to do to unlock a car that you might be interested in, you might not be. And if you don't, FOMO. Need for Speed, exactly the same. Grinding out to get the body kit parts for a car you already have access to. That's not a thing Need for Speed has done before. Why did they do that? Because they want you to play longer. And I get it, we're in a time where Game Pass and EA Play, they want you to play for longer. That's the whole point of like short form scrolling stuff. You have to keep watching, you have to be here, you have to be long. We need all of your time all the time. The crew does the exact same thing, so I'm not gonna just point to Forza for this. Everything we build has infinite value. Absolute infinite value, and therefore you must play it over and over and over again. It's such a tired opinion, man. Like, it just doesn't work. Not every car you build has value. Not every race you build has value. In fact, I would argue the races have less value than the cars. The cars, of course, you put a lot of work into. You add the customizations on top of it. So there's a lot of work. But the races, mate, you put checkpoints, and that's it. You cannot expect it to be infinite value when I'm not interested in the routes. People will replay the events that they're most interested in, and usually it'll be the most unique or the coolest or the longest or the biggest. There's some unique reason that they're playing those events, and usually overall, it's to make money as fast as possible. Don't kid yourself. If you want me to replay an event, increase the money. It's logic. So I don't want to make clear at this point, I'm diagnosed very ADHD. Not every experience of mine is going to be the exact same. And you also may find the experience is the same for you, even if you're not ADHD. And it's not saying that because you experience the same as me that you have ADHD, we just end up having the same tendencies. And I mean, look at it this way. If you look at YouTube and look at a lot of the big gaming creators, a lot of the big creators in general, how many of them are coming out and saying they've, in the last few years, making videos saying, oh yeah, I've got ADHD, or I've got autism, or something like that? Probably because, from my experience, if you give me a genuine reason to care for something, a path, a line, a progression line that we can follow, and if I do this, I get this, well, that is kind of YouTube all over, isn't it? So, it kind of makes sense that a lot of creatives in the space, again, a lot of people are like, oh, it's TikTok scrolling, bro. That's not me. I don't actually use short form at all because it's just not for me. I would spend a lot of time on it. I say like an hour or two, and then I would be like, what did I actually remember from that short form experience? And so I completely cut it out. Once I had a purpose of, this doesn't do anything for me, I dropped it. It is not that I can't get away from it. I haven't been locked into short form for like 4 or 5 years because of it. I made a simple choice because I knew for me it would be better to not to, and I stick with it. Same with the SUV stuff. Same with the progression stuff in games, because I know what I want. I've done the research in myself, in my own mind, to know what I want. Anyway, let's talk about Forza Horizon 6 again. Wristbands are returning, as we mentioned, so that is a reason to progress through the game. It has a purpose. You can't drive certain cars now until you actually get to that level, so that's really cool to see. And they're doing the usual thing that games should do, in my opinion, where they showcase some really cool high-end cars at the beginning of the game, and then they take them away from you and you go into low-end cars, and then you go, damn, I've got to get to those, and I'm going to get there no matter what. It goes back to Most Wanted 05, the exact same with the M3. You had the M3 and then you're going to get back. The most basic, pure form of racing revenge is that, and it works no matter what way you twist it. And there is the mention of potentially meaningful characters. That is something, again, that Forza hasn't really done very well. The crew did really well and then did really terribly, and Need for Speed does every game. There are genuinely, whether you like them or not, meaningful characters in the world that you actually do care about to varying extents throughout the game. I mean, Anna in Need for Speed Heat. Anna needs to come back. I love Anna. She's amazing. All of this points to the biggest problem I had with the series since Forza Horizon 2. Forza Horizon 2, replaying a little bit recently, I noticed that you actually a little bit more restricted in terms of what you can do certain events in certain cars with. There was restrictions there, and that really just locks in the game to feel like, okay, well, even if I could afford a mega supercar, well, I can't necessarily use it for this event. And that just kind of structured the game in a way that gave you freedom and didn't. That reminds you of Forza Horizon 6? Because yes, that's the idea, is you can do the exploration side of things and drive any car you want, but you can't do the actual progression with the wristbands and the events with those cars. You can do some events with them and some without. And I think this is gonna be shaping up, like the thought process behind it really is great, and I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what this is going to be like, because this is the stronghold, I'd say, for Forza Horizon 6. We know what the customization's like, we know what the world is like. That's really good, but again, once you've done that, I'm going to need a little bit more. The progression is like the last massive pillar that they have to kind of structure well. And also, I hope they don't bugger it up like they did Forza Motorsport, which, you know, Turn 10 is now working on this full time, so, but look, Turn 10, you know, they swap employees out every, like, 6 months. So that was clearly solely for the Game Pass situation. But, you know, people have always been asking for it in Forza Horizon, a bit more meaning. And that is so much more powerful than you might have thought. Until now. If Microsoft is indeed all about accessibility, which the cars can practically drive themselves in this game, that's my request for accessibility. A reason to care about why I'm playing the game. That is so much more important, usually, in my opinion, than what I'm actually playing. Because in the end, we're just racing cars around a track. I need a reason to care.